Americans spend Memorial Day honoring those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. But one local Vietnam War veteran explains why Americans should also remember those who are serving now. NCTV 17's Kevin Machak has his story.
Naperville resident Mike McGrath remembers his dangerous involvement as a platoon leader in the Vietnam War, a war that left more than 58,000 Americans dead and hundreds of thousands injured. McGrath was drafted into the Army at age 21 and sent overseas 4 years later in 1966 to fight in Vietnam.
The Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese were bad guys. They would go into the villages and conscript local peasants to come into their army, and so it was our job to keep the bad guys out of the villages.
The Viet Cong were communist-led guerrillas who were fighting to overthrow the South Vietnamese government when America stepped in.
We found out that a lot of these people in the South did not want to be communists, so we wanted to protect their freedom and stop the spread of communism.
In 1968, Richard Nixon withdrew U.S. troops from Vietnam. McGrath says their return home was not a welcoming one.
A lot of us maybe suffered a little bit when we got back home because there were war protesters, and many times the Vietnam veterans were not treated very well.
McGrath hopes today's troops receive a warmer welcome home than Vietnam vets ever received.
We want them recognized for the great sacrifice they're making. I think a lot of the Vietnam guys, our idols, are the World War II people, the greatest generation. So they're kind of an idol to us and an inspiration, so we hope we can do the same thing for the young people today.
Since his service, McGrath has continued to support the troops. His positions include past commander of the Judd Kendall VFW and vice commander of the American Legion. I'm Kevin Machak for Naperville News 17.
This summer, Vietnam War veterans will have a special event in downtown Chicago to honor them. Welcome Home 2011 is a weekend in June set aside to remember and honor the sacrifices of the Vietnam veterans and their families.